The day has arrived. We finally have more WATA population reports. Woohoo! Woo! This video is going to go over some general thoughts. Are the numbers high? Are the numbers low? What does this mean now? What do you do as a buyer? What do you do as a seller? And how can you not screw up navigating this population report? I will also make detailed videos going over each of these population reports. So if you want to see those, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also hit the like button, help this spread to more people. And if you're sitting there thinking, but Greg, I don't collect for any of these consoles. What do I do?
You shall forever be in the dark.
Just kidding. WATA has said additional pop reports for PS1, PS2, other consoles that aren't included right here will be coming in the coming weeks. So just hold tight. More information's on its way. Honest to God, I'm glad that they broke it up into two dumps here because there is more than enough information to keep us busy for a little while already. But let's just start with the first question here. What do I think of the population reports? Overall, I think for most titles, they're pretty low, or at least somewhere within the expected range. Nothing really jumped out like, oh my God, there's this many of that game. I never would have guessed that. For some full transparency, there were more copies of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time graded than I anticipated, as well as Majora's Mask. Even Super Mario 64 Novel Print has 81 total copies, and GoldenEye has 59. The other numbers shown there are player's choice numbers, which kind of fall into their own category. But then we get into super popular games like Mario Kart 64, which is sitting at 31 graded, Super Smash Bros, which is sitting at 63 total. I'm using N64 examples as that's one of the consoles I cared the most about. But even speaking to the populations of these games, the games with the highest pops are also some of the most popular games of all time. So if we just talk about relative absolute numbers here, we have 201 copies of Ocarina of Time to go around, 174 copies of Majora's Mask, 125 Mario 64s, and 107 GoldenEyes. Those are total numbers. It includes player's choice. Who cares? I'm not at all worried that that supply won't be equally met by overwhelming demand. Because remember, no matter what this number is right here, 201, 2001, if you have more people who want those games, then it doesn't matter what the absolute population is. Just keeping that Ocarina of Time number of 200 in your head. If we swap over to Pokemon and we just look at base set Charizard, probably the most popular Pokemon card ever, there are 32,530 of them graded total. If we just look at PSA 9s and 10s, there's still almost 7,000 of them. If we go over to first edition Charizard, there's 700 PSA 9s, 121 PSA 10s, 121 of them, and they sell for around $300,000. If we take an example from over in the sports card world, Luka Doncic, very popular player, his 2018 Panini Prism base card has 33,000 of them graded. There are 18,000 of this card in PSA 10 condition. The card still sells for $300 or $400. And demand matter just as much as the overall supply of this stuff does. If the hobby fails to grow from here, if no new entrants come into sealed video games, if no new people decide they want to purchase sealed video games, then yes, the prices of these games inevitably have to go down, regardless of what the supply number is here. The most common graded game right now is Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES with 291 copies. That is the most graded WATA game on these current pop reports. It might change once we see some of the PS2 games, maybe Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, but for now, the crown is held by Mario Bros. 3. The thing is though, the vast majority of games fall under 50 copies total graded, which now has given sellers a lot of leverage. These pop reports coming out have confirmed a lot of things that people already assumed about the supply of a lot of these games, but now sellers hold a lot of the leverage because, quite simply put, there aren't many copies to go around. If you're looking to purchase a Donkey Kong 64, well, you have 50 to choose from, and if you want the 9.4 or a 9.6, which there isn't even a 9.8 Donkey Kong 64, which is pretty damn interesting in itself, but if you want an investment grade copy, to take a term from Sean there, you have 9 copies to choose from currently, or you have to go and find a raw one on the open market. So now if we go over to eBay, you are going to see a ton of listers saying rare, 1 of 6 with 2 higher. Here's Hagane, Final Conflict, 3rd best grade in the WATA population report. Wheel of Fortune, WATA 9.28 plus, factory sealed, pop 4. Sellers are absolutely going to leverage this information now to help bolster sales. And I don't blame them at all. The population reports exist now. This is what we wanted. This is just now another thing that happens when we do have this information. And to WATA's credit, this is something that they did warn against because until enough games are submitted, you're going to have false narratives about supply. So let's talk more now about how you can navigate this and what caveats need to be brought with this population report. Right off the bat, there are no seal grades represented on this population report, which we all know that an A seal versus an A++ seal is a world of difference in appearance, desirability, and price. So if you're navigating this and you're looking for the investment grade copies, the really high ones, well, Ocarina of Time might have 20 copies up here, but who knows how many of these 9.6s don't have an A++ seal? Who knows how many of them have a B or a B+? In that respect, on high population games, buyers do get a little bit of leverage back there because a seller has to say, oh, there's 33 and 9.6. It doesn't differentiate how many have an A++ seal. Also, we talked about the supply, 201 Ocarina of Times. The VGA population report will probably double these numbers for most of these games. I mean, maybe it'll be 2.5, 3 times, right? There's really no way to say until we actually do get the VGA population report. And then even once we do get the VGA population report, there's going to be issues with crossovers, regrading, all of that stuff that plagues every single other population report. So you'll never have a true number of copies that exist. You're only ever going to have a range. Just do keep this in mind when you're looking at Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards, which, relatively speaking, is not available, right? 16 copies on the WATA Pop report, that's not that available, but there is going to be VGA population that also adds to that total eventually. Don't discount the fact that games still exist in VGA cases. Also, when analyzing these pop reports, these are not absolute numbers. Like I said, they're going to grow in the future, but they do provide a lot of relativity analysis, especially on expensive popular games. That is one thing it's very good for. So we can look at Pokemon Gold, 117, and Silver has 112. Okay, interesting. And then if we go over here, Pokemon Yellow, 194, Red and Blue, about 150 each. So Red, Blue, and Yellow are more submitted, more common than Pokemon Gold and Silver. And if we go over to Pokemon, where is it now? Pokemon Crystal, we have 30 copies submitted. On a game like Pokemon Crystal, where there is all of the incentive in the world to send it in for grading, we can be decently confident that a 30 representation does show that it's relatively unavailable, relatively rare. However, if we go down the pop report here and we go to the Grinch on Game Boy Color, wow, there's only 5 of them in the population report. To be completely honest, that tells us nothing. The Grinch is not a game people are going to be submitting. The Grinch is not valuable. The Grinch is not desirable. The thing you have to remember when you're looking at this population report is, has the game been historically popular throughout the years? Has the game been historically expensive through the years? Is the game worth submitting to WATA at this time over the past 3 or 4 years that they've been grading games? If the answer to any of those questions is no, you might be getting a misrepresentation of how many are actually out there. For an example here, when I did my first NES pop report analysis, I broke the games into games that are actually expensive, actually rare, games that no one really cares about, and then the unlicensed games, which are a little bit of both. If you are looking at one of these pop reports and you're seeing pop 0 games or games that have a pop of 1 to 5, you have to break them into games that actually frickin' matter and therefore they would have been submitted, and games that don't matter and therefore they weren't submitted. It's going to take at least another year for a lot of these low pop games to become fleshed out, if they ever are going to become fleshed out. Some games are simply going to remain low pop, are going to remain very undesirable, are going to remain not submitted. And some of those games are going to be rare, but that's what you need to differentiate when you're looking at these population reports, which games are actually rare and desirable, which games are simply not submitted because they suck. Just to give you a couple of surprising examples for myself, on the Game Boy Advance, both of the Kirby games have 3 and 9 submitted. Those numbers seem very low to me. Both of these games should be submitted enough. They're both Kirby, they're both popular. I'm now keeping my eye on these games to see if one pops up factory sealed for a decent price, because that could be a spot to strike on. The average eBay poster, the average game seller is not looking at this data, is not this inclined in the market, is not paying attention to this. So if you're doing your homework, if you're studying, if you're paying attention, you can absolutely leverage these population reports to make good decisions, but on the exact same breath, you can use these population reports to make absolutely terrible decisions. Overall, these pop reports, these numbers, they confirmed a lot of what myself and a lot of people already thought about the market. I'm excited to see how many people put out videos saying, aha, 291 Super Mario Bros. 3. I knew it was super common. I'll make some response videos if they happen, and we'll go from there. Huge thank you to every single Patreon member who supports the channel. Hit the like button before you go, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next video.